Alright guys, I want to welcome you all back to some more of the Great Ace Attorney 2. And I gotta tell you right now, we just finished part 1, I believe, of this trial, and we are now going on into what we haven't seen in a while, the perspective of Herlock Sholmes, I believe at least. So I'm a little excited to see what's to come from this, and you know what? We'll just get started on it, guys. Let's get to it. Alright everyone, and we are back. And if we're unable to present any new leads then, I'm afraid to say. Do not fret, please. It's for precisely that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt we shall have welcome news for you within the half hour. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. That would be wonderful. Until later then. Yes. You'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first. Ow! I shan't be hearing anything if you keep tugging my ear in that mindless fashion. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver operate in that way in the first place, Sholmes? Why the deuce would I know? It's Iris' invention, not mine. Whilst I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Sholmes, we have but half that hour now before the grouse puts to sea again. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in the Naples before long. There are times, Mikotoba, when you make a surprising amount of sense. So, let us begin. Oh, this guy. First class cabin number 2. Yes, this is the one. But I don't believe an investigation of the cabin is going to be plain sailing. That crewman standing in front of the door is an angry-looking fellow. What are you loitering here? Who are you? My dear fellow, do you not recognize a world-famous great detective when you see one? The question really ought to be, who are you? Do you not recognize world-traveling great sailor Chicken Stroganoff when you see? Great detective, ha! I don't think so. He has Sholmes on his arm. Do you see that, Mikotoba? It would appear that this man is a devout follower of mine. Goodness me, is that a tattoo that says Sholmes? I must say, while such adoration is flattering, naturally, it does leave me a little cold. What are you talking about? Leave, now! How distressing. My loyal devotee knows me only by name and not by appearance. And yet, I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he's a shipman. Currently traveling the world aboard a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know of this? Elementary, my dear Mikotoba. I'm sure it was. 3 days ago, I was bound for London aboard this ship, you see. We're looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Jigoku. There is no one with this name on board, but we know that he purchased a ticket for passage. Ah, you mean Eastern Man. He left ship 2 hours ago. Here at Dunkirk. He said something about emergency, I think. What? Are you sure? So Shishido's realized that we're after him, has he? His cabin is the one behind you. We should like to investigate, please. No. I have orders not to let even mouse inside. Mikotoba, be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Make up some excuse so that he leaves the area. Doesn't great detective see that even sailors have ears, both left and right? Curses! The plan is ruined. And you have only yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Sholmes. Forget it. Cabin door is locked. Even if I'm not here, you cannot get inside. Mikotoba, I'm sure you haven't forgotten my special talent, have you? Opening any lock? Within a mere 5 seconds. So if you'd be so kind as to afford me the requisite time, old friend, in your typically accommodating manner. How could I refuse such a typically unappealing request, old friend? So, I need to distract that burly sailor for 5 seconds, do I? Good man. So, the game is afoot. Let's try it out again. It's been a while since we did this, and I kind of miss it. He's like a Neo Temple Guardian statue, this fellow. The way he's glaring at us so fiercely. Tell me, why are you standing guard here if the cabin is unoccupied? Because this area is only for first-class passengers. You must look out for suspicious criminals. He was looking straight at me when he said that. My dear fellow, as you can plainly see, we are quite unsuspicious as criminals go. But still, criminals. No. For goodness sake, Sholmes, tell the man we're neither suspicious nor criminals. Ah, yes, quite right, Mikotoba. Curses, this seaman is far too able for his own good. Be extremely careful in what you say. One of us ought to be yes. That's another first-class cabin, yet its door is completely unguarded. Empty as well. I had a quick look inside earlier, though I confess I didn't investigate the wardrobe. There may very well be a young Japanese fellow inside perspiring merrily. If you're referring to Naruhodo, you know very well that he's currently perspiring merrily in court. Does not strike you though, Mikotoba. Why the man stands guard only in front of this cabin when both are apparently vacant? That's true. This would appear to be an alarm bell. Aw, hell, would break loose if that thing were to ring. The whole crew would know about it. Alright, time to set it off. Here it goes then. Pardon me in advance. You! What are you doing? If we were at sea, that would be a very bad problem. What's going on down there, Seaman Stroganoff? Report at once! Nothing, sir. Nothing to report. It was just a stupid trick. No, not by me. By world famous... No, as I told you. Now, Sholmes, now! Done. Not even 5 seconds, ah. Well, don't stand there gawping at my brilliance, Mikotoba. In we go. Oh, yes. 3rd of November, SS Grouse, first class, cabin number 2. Good gracious. It would appear that the occupant of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. Those clothes on the floor, they're Seshiro's without question. Well, it seems we're just a little too late. Yes, by about 2 hours. Still, whilst we're here, we should investigate thoroughly. There may well be 2 hours worth of clues to find in here. But that burly crewman may return at any moment, Sholmes. Indeed he may. Which makes this all the more thrilling. Alright. There's a speaking tube here, look. Though it's been stoppered with some cloth. So the voices of the crewmen on the bridge aren't an annoyance, I suppose. Or, indeed, so that the voices in this cabin aren't heard elsewhere. Could something have happened in here that was for no one else's ears, do you think? Either that, or it could be to prevent snakes from entering. That's really become a favorite case of yours, hasn't it? Quite the exquisite glass, I must say. See here how it... Is something wrong, Sholmes? You suddenly trailed off. Ice, Mikotoba. Ice. What opulence the first-class passengers enjoy. Chilled drinks. Pardon? Could it be that this steamship is equipped with an electrically refrigerated cold room, do you think? Well, it is a luxury liner after all. They have enormous refrigerators for storing all sorts of lavish produce as well as ice. On our voyage from Japan, we enjoyed culinary delights from all over the world. Suddenly, Mikotoba, the sight of you is making my mouth water. I haven't taken on the flavor of the food I ate, you know. According to the report I was given, Naruhodo was concealing himself in Asogi's wardrobe. Indeed he was, and it was a similar size to this one. Ah, you must climb inside yourself, my dear fellow. What? Whatever for? It was the sight of my first fateful meeting with Mr. Naruhodo. You can experience the moment for yourself now, complete with my dramatic rhetoric. Come along now, in you go. This will only take a moment. Really, Sholmes, surely you can just tell me what you said. Well, I uttered some brilliant remark and opened the wardrobe to reveal the stowaway murderer. I think I'll just read about him in the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. This is the wastepaper basket, look, and there's still rubbish inside. Indeed, then let us pry. I discovered recently I have a penchant for exploring the contents of others' wastepaper baskets. I sincerely hope only for your work. Ah. Here we have a notice issued to passengers from 3 days ago. 3 days ago? The night before you arrived in London then? When I was still aboard myself? Evacuation drill notice, 31st of October. But, I could not read all that. Ah yes, there was an evacuation drill, I remember now. For our safety and security, all first-class passengers were constantly under the watchful eye of the crew. So it was a welcome relief to have some privacy for once. Alright, so let me read that. I'm a little sad I didn't get a chance to read it all. Oh, no, I can't look at it right now. I'll check it out later. That's a very sizable trunk indeed. Says Shido is partial to all things large. And a rather clumsy fellow if he failed to notice he'd left that behind. Perhaps he left it on purpose. It's lighter than you might think, but still a hindrance to a speedy escape. Pity. It's locked, so we can't look inside. Surely 5 seconds from now the situation will be quite different, though. Sadly not. It was a 7-digit combination lock. And I'm not in a morose enough mood to work through all the combinations at present. These are the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Additionally, there are severe punishments for stowing away in wardrobes and or travel cases. I feel the rules have increased since I last read them, probably just my imagination. What about the fact that they're not straight on the wall? Doesn't that strike you? You may be right, probably just your imagination though. A trifle. And you know what I always say, Mikotoba, there's nothing important about trifles. It's not just my imagination, but I think that might be slightly off. Plenty of reading material to keep passengers occupied on the long sea voyages. I found the mixture of classic literature and easy reading to be most satisfactory, I must say. Whoever stocked this bookcase was a hopeless heretic. There's no copy of the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, my dear fellows. I'm afraid it's just me, but no, you're quite right. More blasphemous than overlooking the Bible. I shall leave a copy behind. I just happen to have one with me. You're a true missionary of the Church of Great Detectives, aren't you? That's odd. The wall is slightly different colored just here, do you see? Indeed, what you have observed arises within a frame that has been hanging for some time is removed. Perhaps your friend is an art thief. Now, there's a bold deduction worthy of a great detective, I'm sure. He may very well be the elusive thief who has been plaguing France's galleries of late. I think perhaps we should focus our attentions elsewhere, Sholmes, don't you? That outline on the wall. It feels as though I might have spotted something of a similar shape and size elsewhere. You are still here. Ah, Abel Seaman Stroganov. Hello again. I was beginning to think you'd never materialize. Ah, you are waiting for me? Of course, I was expecting you to burst in with a hearty Russian profanity far sooner. I was in trouble with the captain because of a trick you played before. Poor innocent chicken. It's all your fault. Ship is leaving port soon. Get off now. Of course, we shall disembark presently, my dear fellow. But first, there is something that must be done. What are you talking about? Why, naturally. The debunking of your deceit and the bearing of the truth. Kakoi? I'm afraid I see through your lies. For one thing, Mr. Jigoku has not yet left this vessel at all. Ugh. And for another, my dear Seaman Shogunov, you know exactly where the man is even as we speak, don't you? How can you? Good gracious, Sholmes, you mean you've worked it out, all of it? It's really been too long, hasn't it, old friend? 10 years, no less. So, would you care to join me for a dance of my imitable logic and reasoning? Nothing would please me more. What is this? We have but minutes until the vessel puts to sea. No games now. Time is of the essence. Mr. Shogunov, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Jigoku left the ship some 2 hours ago. Duh! That is what I said. Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there is something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. What? Ah, yes, of course. I see you've noticed it too, Mikotoba. Then please, do take the lead. What in this cabin shows the impossibility. Could not read through that in time. Let's see what the last 3 years have done to your observational skills then, Mikotoba. It's been 10 years since we last did this, Sholmes, not 3. Why, of course it has. Quite. Now, all the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. But as I always say, you must not merely look, but observe. Observe and the answers will become clear. So, impress me. I think I can manage that. What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked 2 hours ago? Alright, let's have some fun, shall we? Glass containing ice.
Take that!
What? He tap dances? Perhaps you should have cleared away the glass. How curious that the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago. Ugh. It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival. With this well-chilled glass in hand. Get your mind off the refreshment, Sholmes. One might even conclude that somebody informed them of our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganoff? But why would Seshiro run from us? Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class cabins of the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jigoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan? Ah, that's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door and Seshiro was, yes, 50 days in this very cabin during our voyage. As I suspected, for you see, there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jigoku had to hide. What traces? I know nothing about this. Ah, this is news to you, is it, Mr. Stroganoff? Sholmes, what exactly are you getting at? As I said, there are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place which I'm quite sure won't have escaped your notice. Something out of place in here? That's the key to this, Mikotoba. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked. I must say, I didn't foresee ever doing this dance of deduction with you again, Mikotoba. No, quite, but life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we well know. Now then, let's see if I can't uncover the truth here. Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow. Remnants of the dark deed that took place in here are being masked by something quite incongruous. This one in particular, because I think it was moved.
Take that!
There we go with it. Tap enter. It's the rules of passage. In this frame here, they're obviously out of place. The way they're hanging crooked on the wall, as if they were put there in a hurry. Yes, as I'm sure you've already concluded, that frame was originally over here. The shape and size are a perfect match. Da, you are right. When the frame moved. Probably the most observant of crewmen are you, Mr. Sharganov. I would think your captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability. Gah. Oh dear, that really seemed to touch a nerve. So, Mikotoba, why don't you lift that frame off the wall? That looks like a bullet hole. What? Who has been shooting walls? I see, the projectile has been removed. Clearly, the careful occupant of this room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Sharganov. Ugh. I have the distinct impression that you're attempting to shield said occupant. I don't know what you are talking about. Why would I try to protect Eastern Stranger? Ah, so we're talking about the same man, I see. Good. Ugh. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time, aren't you? Because there's some very noteworthy evidence that explains the reason why you're lying for the man. Yes, you've been told to keep up this pretense as clearly shown by. I really don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes. Ah, my dear Mikotoba, simply keep first principles in mind. Study your subject from every angle, and I'm quite sure that you'll see it. In fact, I'd put a wager on it. So I'm to glare at the fellow from all sides? Well, I can certainly do that. Alright. We did this dance before. And if we have, that means... Aha! Boom, baby.
Take that!
It's almost too obvious for words. Quite, the universal language of the world. Money. Ugh. And I wager that Eastern fellow in question. Niseshiro Jigoku, yes? Gah. So, I presume you realize what this means. There are clear signs that a crime has been committed in this cabin. And the way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. But... I believe you know, Mr. Sharganov. You know where Mr. Jigoku is hiding at this precise moment in time. As always, Mikotoba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Yes, I think you're onto something there, Sholmes. You found the chink in this burly fellow's armor. We need only follow the man's gaze to know where our prey is hiding. The slightest flicker of the pupils, a minutely delayed blink. Nothing escapes my attention, even that which is barely perceptible. You can hardly call this barely perceptible, Sholmes. The man's turned his entire head. Not exactly what you describe as a furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious. We shall let your tapping toes decide, my dear fellow. Okay, I know what he's looking at.
Take that!
You turned immediately to look at this large trunk, didn't you? Ugh. The truth is, Seshiro Jigoku was unable to escape from the ship in time. And is at this very moment doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low in air. I imagine he didn't quite count on us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. How can we? Are you forgetting about the combination lock? We don't know the 7-digit code. The combination lock can't be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. Of course. In short, before Jigoku hid himself inside that trunk, he must have told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. As I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganoff. Oh, I think I know it. No, I know nothing about combination code. Don't move a muscle, my good seaman. Huh? Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? How on earth do you expect me to? It's a 7-digit number, remember. Quickly now, we have little time. Yep, I know it. It's written in his arms. That was clever of them, too. Okay. Oh. It'd be 5. Ooh. Eh. Boom. Up. Boom. And so the numbers are according with the letters of Sholmes' name written on Stroganoff's arm. And hopefully I'm right on this.
Take that!
Yep. That did it. It's open. You had to meddle, didn't you? Quite the contortionist. Well, Eugen, you found me now. Seshiro. I was really hoping beyond hope not to find you here, you know. But you're not entirely unsurprised, I take it. No, quite. I just wish it were some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me? Ah, your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I've read stories of many of your exploits. Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. The devil's in the details, Mikotoba. I believe you meant to say your old friend and traveling companion. Who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things turned sour. I see my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor. Well, Seshiro, are you going to explain all this? You know it all by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, on the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life here on this very ship. By the Reaper of the Bailey. Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once prosecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. And I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when. It became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. So you decided to flee the capital without saying a word to me about it? I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you. It's somewhat surprising, I must say. What is? Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are in very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. So says the protagonist of some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket and here I am. I just seen for myself the obvious remnants of that incident in this cabin. So you'd already purchased your return ticket before we even docked in Dover, had you? To prevent anyone else taking this cabin and seeing the evidence, is that it? Eugen, I have nothing to say to you. Well, in a mere 5 minutes, this ship will set off on its onward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid we must insist that you disembark with us at once. You have no jurisdiction over my movements. We have this, Seshiro. We take it. What is it? It's a subpoena from the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what the ramifications of ignoring a document like this from a British court would be. You came prepared then, Eugene. Come on, let's go. One moment. What is it, Sholmes? Inside Mr. Jigoku's trunk. I found this rather fascinating trinket. What is that, Seshiro? I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component from something. Well, what? I have no idea. But I look at his face, I think he genuinely doesn't know. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. This minor intermission has been pretty fun, because it's been a while since we actually got to do some investigating at this level. Like, the last time I remember doing this type of thing was when we were aboard the SS Beria in part 1, actually, of this game. But anyways, guys, I'm looking forward to the next part. So, if anything else, thank you all for watching. Until the next one.